Hello and good evening. Sorry about the lighting, equally useless as ever. Sorry, I am late. Typical as ever. I am, there's always something that gets in the way. We were stuck in the traffic. Dog ate my homework, and then man needed me to move the car because he couldn't get his boat up the street. So we've been having a drama with a boat. It's a lovely little boat that looks like a boat from something from Swallows and Amazons. And of course, you all know I have a great relationship with the Arthur Ransom in the past, and the lovely Swallows and Amazons, and the wonderful stories I could tell you about Arthur Ransom. I could go on for hours about, because what a wonderful man and what a wonderful part of my life the Arthur Ransom part of my life was. So, well, it still is, fabulous books that inspired children all over the world. And what a great man he was. But actually, he was more interesting for his politics. He played chess with Lenin. He married Trotsky's secretary. He was the editor of the Manchester Guardian. People thought him a spy. He wasn't a spy. That's a total bunch of lies. But he was an absolutely fabulous man, and his books were wonderful. And of course, the books about the Norfolk Broads, just as much as the books about the Lake District, were absolutely fabulous. And I'm talking completely off the cuff here. This is because I grew up with that. I used to sail on Lake Windermere, the very boat that was used in the film. I was very lucky to be able to do that. I was one of the few people allowed to do that. That was a fabulous thing that I was allowed to do because of my connections. And I got to spend a lot of time with all sorts of people connected with Arthur Ransom, amazing historians and amazing people who were very interested in in my father's view, his actual genius was his books about fishing, fly fishing. He wrote the most brilliant books about fly fishing. And my dad, of course, is a very big fisherman. My dad has restored a river. He is a very serious fisherman, very friendly with people like Charles Jardine, one of the best fishermen in the world, in our view. And, fishing is fly fishing is an art and a craft. And I've done the night fishing in the middle of the river and, deepest, darkest Scotland and Sutherland, and nearly been washed away and drowned age 10. I remember when I nearly got washed away in the river. We've done all kinds of fishing, but with fly fishing, obviously, is our thing. And fishing is a very amazing thing because you have to be able to tie the flies and learn about all of that, which my father is I'm not, I will admit, I'm not into all that. My hands are too big. I'm useless. It's rather like anything technical. And thank goodness for my lovely friend today who has fixed my telephone. And I now have a working telephone, and it's charging away right now on a wireless device because the cable thing doesn't work because obviously it had a power surge through it, probably like the computer or something. And no wonder it blew up. But it was so nice to meet an old friend. And today I met his wife, and on Friday I'll be having dinner with his children. So isn't that an amazing thing? Yes, I do apologize about our little meltdown last night. And, it's been a very stressful few days here. And it was very sad that my friend Max couldn't arrive. And we still need to speak with him and make a full apology to him. And as for the other person who was involved in the saga, the woman who was spoken to, well, I'm very upset about that, but I won't be revisiting that situation. And yes, it's very, very hard. And I eventually will be going back to England. And of course, I have to go back to England. But I've got to sort out a few things first, because obviously things have to be sorted out. And there is a wedding in the meantime. And it would be remiss of me not to attend the wedding. So we will be attending the wedding. And I don't know what will happen after that. And as regards you know who and all that was said last night, I don't know what's going to happen with her situation, but we won't go there tonight. So I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of that matter. Let's talk about something positive. Thank you very much, and how lovely to have Nicola here, Keely, and Tina De Silva, and Expialidocious. There's a fair few of you coming in. I'm very sorry I'm here very, very late, but a boat in the road and all sorts of my excuses are pathetic, aren't they? You wouldn't believe them. If they weren't true, you couldn't make them up. Swallows and Amazons type boat wanted to block the road. If that were given to my school teacher, Captain Fiddler, unfortunately named Captain Fiddler, he would say that is worse than dog ate your homework. It's an absolute disgrace. You couldn't come up with such a stupid lie. No, honestly, a boat that looked like a Swallows and Amazon boat with a Mercedes van, obviously German owned, attached, did block the road. So there we are. Right. Okay. So, yes, the next part of the matter is. Right, we're waiting for a few more to come in. So if you have any questions on any particular topics, we'll do those first. I'm not going to talk about anything in particular tonight. I've just seen a thing about Paris Hilton having a fallout with Donald Trump. Obviously, Paris is an amazing girl. I've had great conversations with Paris, and I love her lovely parents, Kathy and Rick. They are such great people. And I think she's such an achiever. I did at one point think that Katie Price was going to be like the British equivalent, but Katie Price has turned out to be just the girl who gets her tits out. Again today, she's taken her top off. Ridiculous at her age. She's a mother. She should pull herself together. We don't need to see people wandering around naked. We have somebody in this local community who does the same thing, who likes to kick seagulls in the sea. I don't like that either. And I have had a word with the chief of the municipality's new little appointee, and I did make a point of saying, I think that you ought to do something to stop people attacking the beautiful wildlife. You must never attack the mini Thatcher has not been back for a day now. And I'm very concerned about the little bird after the nasty woman tried to kick it in the sea the previous time. And, well, that wasn't a very good idea. So we are concerned for the bird. And, you know what I do about nature. I run petitions I put a stop to people abusing animals. There is no need to abuse an animal ever. Wouldn't you agree? In the background, hello? Is there any need to abuse an animal ever?
Never.
No, and this German lady has kicked it in the sea, and it hasn't been back in a day. And I've got dog food for it, ready for it, because it does like the dog food. It has this thing for it. I think it could be injured again. I don't know. I have a feeling the last time it was attacked on its head, because the other birds don't like it. And I'm very concerned about the little bird. I care about humans, and I care about little birds. I don't want to be involved in all this, and I'm sick of the ones of you who started writing to me going, why don't you start talking about Gaza? No, I'm not going to start talking about Gaza. I am not a specialist on that. I have many friends who are Jewish. I also have a friend who wrote a book called Palestine on a Plate. She's an English Palestinian lady who wrote a book. She used to work for Gordon Ramsay. She worked with all sorts of people. She had a restaurant in Walton Street, Knightsbridge, of her own. And my friend Lloyd Grossman was a big supporter of her. And I used to publish her recipes. And Jewish people used to get very angry with me because they said, does she have a bomb to go with it? And I said, I'm not having you criticize my friend. I have Palestinian friends. I have Jewish friends. I don't like Hamas, and I don't like Netanyahu. Netanyahu is a war criminal, and he should be locked up. And he's a disgrace. But Hamas should be blown to oblivion. Let's get rid of Hamas. That's more important to me. So I don't want to talk about those things. So please stop sending me messages telling me that I should take a view on Gaza, Israel, whatever. And it's always the Palestinian side, the Hamas side, that is bombarding me. It's never the Jewish people, weirdly. I don't get messages from Jewish people saying you should take a stand. I respect Jewish people and I respect Palestinian people. I do not respect Hamas. So, okay, that's my little rant for the evening. I don't want any more messages about this. So, if you send me any more, I will totally ignore you. I don't want anything to do with your little rant. Okay, so I'm not going to be saying any more than I have. I think what I say is completely correct. We need peace in that region. Let's bring some peace. Let's bring some sense. Let's stop the madness. And as for this Iran, well, that Ayatollah, get rid of him. He needs blowing up. Blow him to oblivion. I'm totally with Donald Trump on that one. So I don't normally stand with Donald Trump, but I say get him out of the water. Let's send him to where he belongs. Hell. Anyway, we don't need any more of that nonsense. Terry says, I find you very funny without you knowing it yourself. I don't intend to be funny. I don't intend to be anything. I just share my opinion. I never intended starting to do this in the first place. I don't know how on earth this whole debacle began. You know, my writing was my writing, and I haven't done much of that lately because I'm not really, well, I haven't got the technology to do it. But I'll soon have my old computer fixed up again and all the rest of it. And then I'll be able to go back to doing a bit more of that because it's about time I did some of that because that's what I'm actually good at. I'm not good at this. This is a disaster because I'm totally useless with technology and half the time it never works. But anyway, I'm enjoying doing this, but you know, I enjoy doing the Talk TV, but when I go on Talk TV, there's people there and they give me a microphone and they point a camera at me and they do this and they do that. And it's all very simple because, well, they have a professional studio that costs millions of pounds to build. So, of course, their system is a little bit better than me sitting here with a microphone and this stupid light that doesn't quite make me look like anything other than Donald Trump on crack. But there we go. So there we are. Tina says I was fed up of someone censoring me. Well, I still respect that person and I like the person very much and I wish them all the best with their channel, but I like to do my own thing and my own thing seems to be quite popular. So we've got a few hundred people coming in and, you know, it's time to do my own thing, isn't it, really? I talk a load of rubbish and I'm writing a quiz book. I'm up to quiz number 92. It could be 94 if I count the other two that are kind of a bit with stolen questions because someone did give me one of those and then I added a couple of questions and moved them around. But the rest of the quizzes are all entirely my own. So I'll stick with 92. When I get to 100, I think we may have a book. So there could be a book for Christmas. So there we are. And thank you, Tina. You are so kind. We love you, Matthew. That's very, very kind of you to say. Right. Okay. Right. I don't know what else you've got to say. We all enjoy you, says Nicola Mooney. Thank you, Nicola. That's very kind. That's very generous. So, any questions on a particular topic? What did we have for lunch today? We went to the lovely Le Cafe in the Market Square of Saint-Tropez, and we had a chicken salad with some French fries, or as George W. would call them, freedom fries. And then I had the lovely Tot Trapezienne, and we had a couple of glasses of wine, and then we went to visit the Hotel Sub, the place with the model Titanic and all the rest of the lovely things. And yes, we've come back and we've got some Citadel gin for later. So that'd be nice. And then I had to move the car around because of the mad man with the boat. I don't know why he's reversing the boat up a cul-de-sac because this is a cul-de-sac. You know, it sounds so provincial, doesn't it? We're living in a cul-de-sac. It's not Brookside Close, but A cul-de-sac obviously is a French word for, street with, it's a street which doesn't go anywhere. So why on earth was he reversing his stupid huge boat up the street? And well, he nearly hit the car, so I had to move the car. So that's why I was rather late. And I was also trying to water the garden, and the hose fell apart. The hose pipe fell apart. So I'm not very good with technical things. The gardener will come back tomorrow, and I'll have to get him to help because honestly, I think that we need a new tap. I think that's the problem. It's fallen off so many times, but I do try and fix it together, and I end up looking like the Rain Man. Well, not the Rain Man, because obviously that was about a different kind of thing, but I was literally covered in water. And, well, here I am in the white shirt, but you can't see how drenched I am, but so there we are. It sounds like an overheard in Waitrose. Yes. Why were you reversing your Swallows and Amazons boat up the cul-de-sac? It wasn't exactly Jimmy in Brookside who buried somebody under the patio, or was Jimmy the one who found the one? Someone I know actually bought Brookside Close and then property developed it. That was the weirdest thing. It is actually a real housing development, and you can actually, I don't know who lives there now, but they live in Brookside Close. It's obviously called something else, I'm sure, but there we are. Right. You've been looking forward to my program all day, says Pig Pig. That's very kind of you, Pig Pig. Thank you. Lady Min is asleep. Are you awake? No, definitely fully asleep tonight. Whether she decides to wake up and cause havoc, God only knows. We don't know. We will see. But at the moment, she has 2 glasses of wine, which is hopefully enough to keep her going for the duration. She hasn't woken up, so we'll leave it that way. Okay, you love Brookside. Okay, yes. Well, there was Claire Sweeney, who I happen to know. She went out with someone who I also knew. I didn't know. I don't think I knew anybody else who was in Brookside, but beyond her. You got her tanked up to keep her quiet. No, I didn't. No, today she's been actually quite well behaved. It's been quite a civilized day of an outing, and we managed to fix a few problems. And well, there was no way I could leave today because of the situation with the telephone. The telephone had to be fixed, so I couldn't travel with a non-working phone. So I've got to figure out what's going to happen next, but we will see what happens next. Can I remember Crossroads? I remember the sequel to Crossroads, the more recent one, but I don't remember the original one. No, I have heard about it, but I don't know it. No, can't say I watched that. I was born in 1981, so I think it was probably a mid-80s program, so I was probably a child, so it probably had no impacts on my life, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Crossroads. There we are. So, right. Anyway, any more questions? Any more particular topics? We're at 131 of you, according to the numbers, but these numbers are totally inaccurate and half the time, completely wrong. So please sign the petition about the sloths. The petition about the sloths has now reached 1,363 signatures. So thank you very much. It is continuing to grow. It's grown by over 363 in the last couple of days. So thank you very much. We must get this petition to go a bit more viral, because my other one went completely viral. We need at least 10,000 soon. We need to get it up. So please sign and share, and throw a bit of money at it if you have the inclination. I don't know how it works, all this petition nonsense, but it seems if you pay $2 or something, you get it shared. But somebody who paid $10 didn't achieve as much as somebody who paid $2, I noticed. So I don't know. I have no idea how it works. It might not be worth giving any money, but but you can share it at least. That would be a nice thing to do. You remember El Dorado? I remember El Dorado. They built a village somewhere in God knows in Spain and made a sort of program of that type, and it was on the BBC, but then it didn't really work out, did it? Rather like the sequel to Howard's Way, which was about horse racing. That didn't work out. So they timed things very badly, the BBC, in those particular times, because then along came the recession and people didn't really want to watch those kind of programs, so they gave up. Did I ever play Soggy Biscuit at school? I never heard of that, so I can't answer your question. Sorry, can't answer that one. Expialidocious says, I prefer red, so do I. I don't know, as opposed to what. I like red and I like orange. Orange is the new black, after all. So, yes, well, here I am in my, you can just about see it, my orange socks. There you are. I do have an orange belt on, but I'm not going to expose you to the midriff of my body. I don't think that's a very good idea. How is the bird, the Mini Thatcher? Well, I've already said we don't know where it's gone. It's disappeared. It may come back. It may not. We'll see what happens. I think it probably will. But we do have the food waiting for it. So if it wants to come back, it's very welcome. But I can't go looking around for it. There's lots of other ones now. They're all in the water, the young ones. So the other mothers of the other birds are looking after their birds. But this one, the lonely one, it seems to have gone a little... Oh, it wanders off. It'll come back. I'm sure it will, unless it's been attacked by the cat. The cat is a nasty creature, and we don't like the cat. You bought Jim Davidson's stove. You didn't mean to. I went to see a stove that was being advertised, and he opened the door. You recognized him, but you couldn't remember his name. Oh, well, why did you buy it? You could have said, I don't want it, if it's from you. Could you imagine having second-hand goods from Jim Davidson? Oh, my dear. It's a great shame. But it's not your fault. It's... You bought Jim Davidson's stove. Oh, dear. That's a very strange comment, I will say. I didn't expect that to be one of the comments this evening. Jim Davidson's stove. Was there any Hitler reference, or some nasty comment, to do with stoves, ovens, and given he is such a nasty person? And thank you to Sandy D for £2.99, kind donation. You've been very, very generous. Thank you. Right, okay. Someone will be eating a hamster next. Well, yeah, that was Max Clifford's little fake story. So Max is no longer around, Max Clifford, and he's no great loss to the world, and nor is his nasty daughter. I dealt with the pair of them very effectively. I couldn't stand either of them. They were a pair of stains on humanity. Awful, awful people. So no good riddance. No good riddance. Well, good riddance to them is what I should say. Total good riddance. No redeeming features to those two. Matt Grant says, I gave Jim's stove its big break. Okay. You can't bear Jim Davidson. He's an absolute creep, says Anna Cleavers. Well, of course, he's an apologist for Gary Glitter. Lovely bloke he is too, isn't he? So, not. There we are. So, well, I'm very sorry you ended up buying Jim Davidson's stove. I wasn't expecting to be talking about that tonight, but there we are. There we are. We have a viewer who has been talking about Jim Davidson's stove, and well, oops. Not something you'd really want. What did he cook in that stove? God only knows. He's a very deeply unpleasant man. My mother and I, well, at the time we were in the same room as him, my mother said we were leaving, and off we went. And we left the Carlton Club in St. James's Street because my mother said I will not be in the same room as that revolting piece of toe rag, basically. Toe rag is my word, but I can't remember what word my mother used. And we went somewhere else. We went back to the Ritz Hotel and we had a nice time there instead because there was no way my mother was going to tolerate being in the same room as that racist, bigoted, creepy, horrible man. He is revolting. He's repugnant. He's an apologist for Gary Glitter. You couldn't get much worse than that. Awful. It's bad enough with Michael Barrymore, who gets down on his knees and worships Jimmy Savile, dresses up as Hitler and all the rest, but this one, cuckoo. Absolutely cuckoo. And how many wives has he had, and how many has he beaten up, and all the rest of it, and all the disgusting things he's done in his life. He has nothing redeeming about him. He's not funny. His humor belongs in the lavatory. His humor does not belong in any polite household. It does not belong in our nation. And thank God he's been taken off British television, and he only belongs on GB News. Gobshit News is what it should be called. It's a load of old crap, that rubbish channel. And okay, my friend Christine Hamilton is on there, and I respect Christine, but the rest of them, sorry. You're the bunch of weakest links. Well done, Andrew Neil, for getting out before it got too late. You did very well. You were the sensible one. But you've got condom campaigner Tom Harwood, the boy who gave out condoms for Brexit, as one of the presenters. You've got that weirdo boy known as the Crafty W, but I won't go into the rest of it. From the little gay boy from Newcastle or wherever he's from, Sunderland. He's revolting. He's absolutely awful. He's so obnoxious. Darren Grimes. Grim is what I call him. Darren Grim. And then you've got the nasty little boy who came to a friend of mine's house. I was there for some of the meeting, and he stayed all afternoon, and he happily took checks, and he happily took substances. And, he goes on about law and order, and he thinks he's Mr. Wise. Well, I've seen you at it, and I know full well who you are. And I have named and shamed you in the past. I'm not going to do it tonight, but you watch out, because I'm still watching you. You're the worst of the lot, because you're actually their rising star, you little rat. So we're on your case, mate. So be careful. But I'm not going to name and shame you tonight. I'll save that for another one. So, yes, Harwood. Is Harwood gay? I don't know. I've no idea. Tom Harwood can be whatever he wants to be, but he gave out condoms to try and get people to support Brexit. What have condoms got to do with Brexit? I thought that was the most illogical idea. He's obviously a bit thick. He's completely useless, and he can't tie a tie. That's another problem with him. If you're going to put a tie on correctly, you little Burke. You're actually worse than the village idiot, Harwood. You're absolutely vile. As for Eamon Holmes, well, I can't stand him either. Ruth Langsford, I have met Eamon and Ruth at parties previously. Seriously, Ruth, you had a lucky escape. Well done, you. You got out at the right moment, because that guy is a complete moron. Shame on him. He's a disgusting weirdo. He's awful. He's kind of like the sidekick to Richard Madeley. And you know how much I love Richard and Judy. And Richard and Judy I know a lot about. I don't really know much about Eamon and Ruth. I like Lorraine. I think Lorraine is the best. Lorraine, we love our Lorraine, don't we? No, she's gone. She's totally asleep. so she's not joining in. I thought Lorraine would cheer her up and welcome her back, but she's actually gone completely to sleep. But we all love Lorraine Kelly. Lorraine Kelly is the Gorbals gobbledygook, and she's the queen of it. And she speaks in a way that, it's a bit eccentric, but I think Lorraine is a breath of fresh air who brings joy to everyone's lives. And I love people who are entertaining and generous. I'd rather talk about the good people than the bad people. But of course, you all ask me about the bad people because, of course, good people are not very interesting, are they? Let's be honest. Nobody wants to hear the stories of the good people. They want to hear, oh, she's awful. And, Anthea Turner, swinging into action or whatever. Lizzie Cundy and Meghan Markle and whatever. But Lorraine is lovely. So there you go. There's a good person. There's lots of good people in the world, and I really like to celebrate good people. From time to time, we must celebrate them. What do I think about Denise Welsh? I've met Denise and her husband, who's a very successful artist. I don't really know her well. I can't really comment on her, but he's very pleasant. So I don't have a particular strong view on her or him, but he's been always very pleasant. Clever man. Right. You like Carol McGiffin. I don't know anything about her. I've heard her name, but I don't know anything about her. I couldn't possibly comment. So no view. Do I like Matthew Healy? Never heard of him. Don't know who he is. Absolutely no idea. Zero idea who he is. So sorry, can't answer your question. You love Carol. Do I like Dawn French? No, I think Dawn French is very obnoxious in what she's done with her videos about the situation. Terrible. Absolutely disgusting. I think that's appalling behavior. I'm great friends with Helen Lederer, who was, of course, also in Absolutely Fabulous. And we judge cocktail competitions, and we've done all sorts of things together, me and Helen. I love Helen. She's fun. We've had many a dinner over the years, and she's great fun. And she's been doing all these books recently, and well done her. And she's been doing TV shows, and well done. I think she's a lovely lady. But Dawn French, no. Very disgusted by what she's had to say because that was inappropriate behavior. Get some respect, Dawn French. Pull yourself together. You're a rich bitch. Pull yourself together. Disgraceful. Absolutely appalling. Well, what has Dawn French done? Well, Dawn French has decided to make mocking things about the attacks on the people at the music festival. It's disgusting. You don't make jokes about that. It's not funny. They died. It's appalling. Get some respect, woman. And I won't call you a lady because you're not. You're a woman. You're an appalling woman. Gloria Hunniford is the worst, says Alfie's mum. I don't like Gloria Hunniford. I call her Inglorious Hunniford. She is the biggest snob, and she's snotty, and she's awful, and she goes on about her 2 swimming pools. Well, I said you can only swim in one at once. She's a total bore. Gloria Hunniford, Inglorious, is so boring. I'd rather eat wasps, snails, and paving stones than spend another hour of my life with that awful woman. And her husband who died, well, I couldn't stand him either, but he may rest in peace, but I didn't like the man. Thank you to Pig, who's given £4.99. I don't know what that's for. £4.99. What does that buy me? I don't know. Maybe. Sadly, it doesn't buy a pint of beer because a pint of beer, I believe, in England is now about £8. So, but £4.99 is a lovely contribution. Thank you. That's very generous. Thank you. It might buy a newspaper here in France. That's about all we'll probably get with £4.99. But absolutely kind of you. Thank you. I'm not being ungrateful. I'm just saying, the world has gone mad with prices. It's unbelievable. Look at the price of beer. It's absolutely shocking that a pint of beer has gone from £3 20 years ago to, in London, nearly £14, £12, or whatever it is. And in the rural provinces, £8. It's absolutely shocking, isn't it? So there we are. Any news on the Menendez? Well, there will be further developments, but they won't be until later in the year. So we have to wait. It's like all these things. And the same with Jeremy Bamber. Everybody has to wait. So we will be waiting for an update on those cases. Have I ever met Joanna Lumley? Of course, yes. Joanna is an absolute delight. The work she does with the Gurkhas is fabulous. She is a wonderful campaigner. She is a lovely lady. She's very down to earth. She's the exact opposite of Dawn French, who is just an attention-seeking, nasty woman who, shame on her. I used to think Dawn French was quite funny, but not what once she started on the mocking of the dead people. That's disgusting. And she's gone too far. And she's tried to she took down the video, the offensive video, but well, why doesn't she offer a full apology? It would be much better for her. But Joanna Lumley is a lovely, lovely lady, and she does an awful lot of good for the world. So what do I think of Carol Vorderman? I thought Carol Vorderman was great. You know, brilliant mind and clever, and I loved her anti-Brexit stuff and all the rest. And then she got carried away with herself, having a fight with this Michelle Mone. Okay, I don't like Michelle Mone, as you all know, of course, because, you know, I've had my own little run-in with Michelle, nasty Michelle, you know, PP fraudster woman. But honestly, Carol Vorderman has got a bit gobby. She's too much. She's gone too far. She just rants and raves, and she's like an older. She could be Greta Thunberg's aunt. The way she behaves, enough is enough. Put a sock in it, Carol. You've gone too far, Carol. I don't like Carol's thing. What did I think of Mr. Whiteley? Well, of course, I loved Richard Whiteley, and I'll give you a little story about Richard Whiteley. So I went to a dinner at the Dorchester, I think it was, charity gala to do with the Crooked McCann charity woman. Lovely woman she was. And, you know, there was the Duchess of York, the old Duchess of Pork, who's been whinging and whining on the telly box today about, you know, how she felt neglected as a child. Oh, for God's sake, Fergie, pull yourself together. And there was Hillary Clinton and and whatever. They were all there, you know. And I don't know if those McCanns were there. I can't remember if they were actually at that occasion, that gala. But the company I was involved in, we paid for a table or 2 tables or whatever we paid, and there were all these people who came along, and it was all very jolly. And you know, stupid charity gala. I can't stand charity galas. You get fed, you know, chicken supreme and some kind of slop to start with that resembles soup or something else. It's always like dog food. It's horrible, and you pay a few £100 a ticket, you know, whatever, or 1,000 a ticket or whatever it is. It's an absolute waste of time. But you're giving money to a charity, and then I was told, you know, spend this much in the auction by the billionaire, and I did. So obviously I bid up this and bid up that and paid for that and paid for this. But there I was, and at the next table was this man, Richard Whiteley, and his then lady friend, who obviously died very recently, and she was a lovely lady too. Liked her very much. Anyway, we chatted, and I said, you know, hello, and then these other people who were our guests, they said, oh, well, you know, where are you staying? And he said, the Sloane Club. And they said, well, we live around the corner. You should come for drinks tomorrow. So we were all invited to this little apartment. Well, they owned the whole build. Well, most of the build. They were very eccentric. I'm not going to say who these people are because, quite frankly, she doesn't deserve the attention. But anyway, we were invited to this house. And we got there, and they had this sort of man who'd come and serve drinks at their house. And we go in and, I'm talking with them, and then the doorbell goes. And the doorbell goes and it says, these people say, well, we're here to see Richard Whiteley. And they're thinking, like, what? Anyway, they let these people in and they walk in and they say, oh, we've been invited here by Richard Whiteley. So now we're like 6 people or whatever we are, and we're standing around. And then the doorbell goes again and there's more of them. We're here to meet Richard Whiteley. In they go. And it grows and it grows. And there's literally like 20 people immediately. So we have all these people here to meet him. Well, he never showed up. It was the most strange drinks party I've ever been to in my life. Twice nightly, Richard Whiteley never showed up to his a drinks party where he invited everybody else. It was quite hilarious, actually. I thought it was quite funny, and this lady did not find it very amusing. So I'm not going to say who she was, but it kind of served her right, because she thought she was going to be lording it up. And anyway, it was a bit silly, but anyway, that was the last we ever heard of Richard Whiteley. So there we go. Have I ever witnessed anything to do with Illuminati? I'm not very involved in the Illuminati. I'm not interested in such nonsense. No, I consider such things a load of, rubbish. So not interested. No, thank you. Next question. There was no sign of Richard, precisely. Have I met Simon Cowell? No, I don't know Simon Cowell, no, but I know stories about Simon Cowell, but I don't. I cannot say I've personally ever met Simon Cowell, no. Have I been invited to be a Freemason? I was invited to be a Freemason. I declined to be a Freemason. I'm not interested in that. No interest at all. My grandfather was briefly a Freemason on my mother's side, but even he decided he didn't like it and left. So, but some people like being a Freemason. So if you want to be a Freemason, be a Freemason. I just don't really find it very appealing myself. So there you go. I wish them all well. If you want to be a Freemason, be a Freemason. But I don't find the situation appealing in any sense. Do I play backgammon? Yes, from time to time. Not very often. I'm not very good at it. I'm better at crosswords. Right. Right. Okay. Well, any more questions? If I could choose someone to go on holiday with, who would I choose? A famous person. Well, you used the word celebrity. I don't like the word celebrity. I find celebrity a very naff word, personally. I don't like the word. I think, it's just an overused word. I don't know. I've no idea. If I could go on holiday with only one person in the whole world who was famous, golly gosh, I don't know. You put me on the spot. To go on holiday for how long? A week, a month, a year, or a second, or what? It's a very, very vague question for a start, but I suppose if I could go on holiday with anybody right now, very hard. Living or dead. That's another part of the thing. Right. Okay. I don't know. I'm scratching my head thinking, it's just it's a bit difficult to think of who the answer could be to this question. Right. A person to go on holiday with. I think right now, probably J.K. Rowling. I'd love to have a little chat with her about all her wonderful views about how she's shaking up the world. So yeah, she'd do. Maybe I could go on her yacht with her. That could be nice. that's just because I'm not interested in going on her yacht. I'm just interested in talking to her about why she's decided to go against all this transgender load of rubbish that they come up with. And I think I salute her. So then maybe certainly would not be Philip Schofield. No. Why would anyone want to go on holiday with Philip Schofield? He's a revolting man who offended my mother. We don't like people who offend my mother. Pushing in front of my mother. Disgraceful piece of tow. There we are. It would not be Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen, no. Elaine says, I've never liked any of J.K. Rowling's books, but I like her. Well, I like the J.K. Galbraith books. I've never read any of these Harry Potter books because I tried and it wasn't my thing. So I'm not interested in Harry Potter. It's just not for me. But my friend was Christopher Little, who was her agent, and he sadly died. But I did enjoy the J.K. the Galbraith books, and there's more of those on the way. And I do enjoy watching those series. I think the detective series is very good. I like it. So I salute her for that. But I'd like to actually meet her. You can't stand Noel Edmonds. Well, nor can I. He's a complete nutcase. Noel is off his merry rocker, isn't he? He's a complete nutcase. Noel the Nutter. That's what we call him. Are those Persol sunglasses? Sadly not, no. I used to have lots of Persol sunglasses. These are just cheap, nasty sunglasses that I found somewhere, and well, they keep me going for now. I have to have a pair of sunglasses for driving the car because the glare is quite bad at times, so one has to have a pair of sunglasses. But sadly, I've spent a fortune on sunglasses over the years, and you can spend £300 on a pair of sunglasses and then you lose them or they break. And I've had some beautiful sunglasses, and well, it's very unfortunate. They don't ever last. It's like umbrellas. You tend to lose the damn things. So there we are. We don't have any vintage Chanel sunglasses, no, either. So sadly not. Do I find left-hand drive easier or harder to drive? I can drive either side of the road. It's absolutely no problem, Cormac. I'm driving a British car here in France, but I drive cars in America, and it doesn't really matter what side of the road. You just have to work out where you're meant to be in the road, and once you do that, you can drive anywhere. The only thing is junctions can be difficult if you can't really see, but beyond that, easy peasy. I love driving, and I'm very into cars. So, right. Any advice on a bamboo issue with a neighbor? I don't know. What's your problem with your neighbor? They don't like your bamboo? Well, tell them to bog off. I don't know. Right. I don't know. I don't know what the issue with the bamboo with the neighbor is. Can't really answer your question. I don't understand. Do I have a Rolex? I used to have one, but it sadly got robbed. But I don't. No, I don't have a watch. I don't wear watches. No. Which was, again, a lesson I've learned this week. When my phone stopped working, I realized you actually need a watch, because without a watch, you can't tell the time if you don't have a phone that works. Too reliant on these stupid devices. But here we are. Here it is. And now it's sitting on its little charger. Thank you very much to my lovely friend who kindly, well, he charged me a little bit, for fixing everything, but he's come up with a solution. It works, so that's all that matters. So well done. and I will be promoting his business tomorrow. And when he arrives here, I'll see if we can do a little mention for him. And if you ever need anything, he has some of the best customers in the world. He has Robbie Williams, he has Tommy Hilfiger. He's gone from being a waiter in PJs to being the maestro of a business in Saint Tropez. So, and he runs a little shop in one of the smartest streets. What a wonderful guy. Well done, him. We'll come to him another day. But there we go. Do I have any tattoos, and would I consider getting a tattoo? No, never. Tattoos are not. I'm not. I associate tattoos with. I'm sorry to say it. I know people have tattoos, and it's up to you if you want to have one. I always think of the Holocaust, and I think of how people were branded, and I don't want to be branded with anything. So I do not need something written on my arm to remind me of anything. I know who I am. I'm me, myself, and I. But that does not mean that you are not entitled to have your tattoo if you so wish. But I just don't. I feel the association, and it upsets me to see tattoos. I don't like them. I don't want to be branded. I'm not a piece of cattle. So, but I have no problem with other people doing it. I respect you if you wish to do that to yourself. That's your own choice. But I will never ever be having any such thing anywhere near me. I don't like it. Sorry. I'm just myself. I don't like it. What do I think about Dan Wootton? Well, you already know what I think about Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton is a piece of toe rag. He should be consigned to Siberia. He's revolting, he's ridiculous, and he's wrong. He's a proper old wrong un, he is. Awful person. Right. You despise Dan Wootton. Well, I totally agree with you. I don't like the man one bit. Right. Okay. You're talking about tattoos. I don't really have anything further to say about tattoos. Let's move along. Would you like a quiz? We've now reached nearly an hour, and I think we're going to have an early night tonight because I really do think I probably should go to sleep soon, relatively. And yes, would you be ready for a quiz? Did I meet Bob Monkhouse? No, never met Bob Monkhouse. Don't know him, but I know who he is, obviously, but no, never met him. Right. I don't know who's as vile as Michael Barrymore. I can't answer that question. There we are. You like a potato salad? I love potato salad. Lovely. I love a potato salad myself too. Yes. Right. Right. Okay. Are we ready for a quiz or not? Would you like a quiz or should I just give up? You want a cucumber sandwich? Well, I don't mind tuna and cucumber sandwiches. They're quite nice. You'd like a quiz, right? Okay, right. We're going to give you a quiz. So, are you ready for a quiz? It's quiz time. Right. You love the seagulls in the background. Okay, well, that's very nice. Well, a certain person has fallen asleep. I'm just going to top up my little glass. So just give me 1 second and we'll be getting ready to go. Right, here we go. So, are we ready for a quiz? Quiz time. Quiz o'clock. So, okay, right. Your first question. Let's go. Precisely. And it's always me now who has to keep the score as well. I was looking forward to having my friend Max here because it would have been lovely to have had him as the scorer. But Unfortunately, the person over there has fallen asleep. But that's inevitable. Um, Whether we can get her up the stairs, I don't know. We will figure out the situation later. But anyway, the first question is: with which sport is Brazilian Mateus Cunha associated? Mateus Cunha. It is not rugby. Connor Holmes is the first person to get it correct. Connor Holmes. Well done, Connor. Connor gets it with of course, football. He's a Premier League footballer. He signed to Man United from Wolves for 62.5 million on a 5-year contract with an option for another year in June 2025. So that is Mateus Cunha. So there you go. Now you know who Mateus Cunha is. Well, Connor Holmes was the one that got it first. I will say I will only accept the answers in the order they appear on my channel. I'm very sorry if you feel you're not happy with the result, because I'm very sorry. It is the order it appears on my channel. I can't take anything other than what I see. I'm not making it up, and why would I? Why would I do such a thing? I'm not the village idiot. I wasn't born in the barn. I'm not stupid. So sorry. Peg likes my trousers. Oh well. They're from Tom Ford. So there you go. Right. Okay. You can't have a steward's inquiry because I'm in charge. I'm very sorry about the birds in the background, but I can't do anything about their noise. And it's nice to have the door open because I like to have the breeze. Okay. Well, we've got Connor Holmes on 1 point on the first question. We've got 19 questions to go. So you all have a fair chance to win. So no more whinging, no more whining. I don't want whinging and whining about, who. If I say who gets the point, they get the point, because I'm not. I only see what order it comes in on my little screen, and I'm not going to tolerate any nonsense. So anyway, right, okay. In which year did Gerald Durrell found a zoo in Jersey? Which year did Gerald Durrell found a zoo in Jersey? It wasn't 1984. It wasn't 1945. It wasn't 29555. It was a bit ahead of. Well, obviously that's incorrect. No, 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 no. Loads of no's. More no's. I'm not going to read out all these 1957s and 1975s. Audrey gets the point. Well done, Audrey. 1959. Audrey gets the point. Well done to Audrey. Audrey is a regular on this quiz, and thank you, Audrey, for your participation. Connor is a newbie, as far as I'm aware. I don't remember many of Connor's. Well, I don't believe Connor's won a quiz yet, but well done to Connor for his point also. Right. In which mythological. Sorry, we're getting stupid messages in the background. Just get rid of them. In which mythological adventure film did Henry Cavill, who was my friend's neighbor in Gloucester Road, and Mickey Rourke star in 2011? What was the name of the film that they starred in? Henry Cavill and Mickey Rourke, 2011. It was not Superman, no. It wasn't The Lodger That Refused to Leave. It wasn't The Clash of the Titans, no. Audrey gets a second point. So Audrey is now in the lead. So out of 3 questions, Audrey is the leader. It, of course, is Immortals. So it was about Greek gods. Okay, how many million people approximately saw Rod Stewart perform for free on Copacabana Beach in Brazil on the 31st of December 1994? It was the biggest audience ever for a concert. Many were there, though, for the fireworks. So how many million Right. We're getting 15 million, which is miles up. We're getting 2 million, which is still miles up. Well, Tallulah gets it with 3.5 million. Tallulah, well done. It was approximately 3.5 million, so a point to Tallulah. Okay, what was David Beckham awarded on King Charles's birthday on the 14th of June 2025? What was he awarded? It wasn't an OBE. Matt Luke Kent, new entrant, but a regular on our little quiz. Matt Luke Kent has done very well. It's a knighthood, of course. Lady Beckham will no doubt be lauding it about wherever she goes. She's now Lady Beckham, isn't she? So Posh Spice is now a lady. Lady Spice, I suppose. Should we call her Lady Spice or should we call her Lady Bex? Or what are we meant to call her? What do you think? Do you want to call her Lady Spice or Lady Bex? You don't like the tattooed man? Right, okay. The miserable cow? Okay. Boring Spice? But no, is she Lady Spice or is she Lady Bex? Or Lady Muck? Well, that's what they called Lady Nora Docker, but Lady Docker, yes. Pouty Spice, Lady Spice. Okay. Right. So Lady Golden Balls. Okay, right. You've got a few names for us. So we'll have to see what nickname emerges for Vicky. Vicky from Essex or whatever she was. She's a very miserable person and she's very unpleasant. I've only encountered her once, and that was quite enough. I don't know anything about him. I've never met him in my life. Right, next question. What is the Christian name of the footballer Jude Bellingham's fellow footballer brother? What is his brother called? What is the brother of Jude Bellingham called? It's not Chad, but Matt Luke Kent gets it. It is Job. So he signed in May 2025 for Jude's former club, Borussia Dortmund. He was given a 5-year contract, 27 million and 4.2 million pounds an annum in add-ons. So he's doing quite well as well. So the Bellingham family are, they're getting in the wonga wonga, aren't they? They're good at that. His mother seems to hang around and be quite good at all that. Okay. A more sad question. How many hours did it take to get the Grenfell Tower fire, which began on the 14th of June 2017, under control? How many hours until it was under control? Miss Marple gets it immediately correct. Well done, Miss Marple. It was 24. That was only to get it under control. It took 60 hours to extinguish it. 72 deaths, 74 non-fatal injuries. The cladding, the fridge that would set it on fire, the brutalist building built 1970. May those people rest in peace. It's so sad what happened at the Grenfell Tower. And every time I drove past that tower, when I was going up to Oxford or wherever, it's a good thing that building is finally being demolished, in my view. I know many people don't want it demolished. They want to keep it as a kind of symbol. It's better to have a memorial garden. Plant some beautiful trees and make it look wonderful, and remember the sad things that were done to those poor people who burned to death in that appalling building because it was covered in dirty, horrible cladding that should never have been put up in the first place. Those poor people, those 72 people, they deserve justice, and remember them. So that was how I feel about that. I went to the Grenfell protest. And Lily Allen was there shouting her mouth off loud. Lily Allen. Lily Allen, her and that horrible other one, I forget her name, that screeching Welsh bitch. I can't remember her name. Charlotte Church. She's another pest. She and Greta Thunberg and this Lily Allen, those three, they're like the three witches. When shall we meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? They personify the evil of that. They are attention-seeking, nasty women, and these people died a horrible life. After a horrible death, burning to death in a tower. And I read some of their stories because The Guardian did an amazing thing. They did a tribute to each victim. And obviously, some of the victims' families didn't participate because they didn't want to talk about it. But some of them gave memories of what how the hope that they'd come to London and they'd moved into this tower block and they could see the whole of London and they were going to have a great life. They were Italian. And because everybody goes on about how, it was full of immigrants. It was full of, Muslims and all the rest. And that wasn't true. There were people from all over the world living in that building. There were English people. There were people who couldn't walk. Sadly, the one who couldn't walk, the worst one, lived at the top. And he loved living at the top because he had a great view. But obviously, once this all happened, he couldn't get out. And then there were so many of them who tried to go down. And they got to the bottom. And of course, this was the most evil thing, in my view, about the whole tragedy. The doors were locked from outside with padlocks, the fire doors, because they didn't want the fire doors. They thought were a security risk. So they told them, go back upstairs and we'll come and get you. They sent those people to their deaths. And I think it's disgraceful. And I want every one of those people prosecuted. I totally agree with everybody who's angry about this. I went there to that protest. I remember on that day, I went to the Kensington Town Hall and Lily Allen was going on a bloody loudspeaker making a scene. I'm sorry. She had no place to be making any rant or rave. Have some respect for the dead, you shameful, spoilt bitch. You didn't do anything to help the poor people there. You just went there because you thought you could make a scene and get a bit of publicity for yourself, didn't you, love? You're a disgrace. And I'm very, very sorry for those poor people. And then, I knew other people who, there was a lady I knew, a rich woman who owned houses in Kensington that she rented out. And one of them was a former council for that. And they said, oh, well, you can get money to take these people in. She said, well, they never moved in. She got paid $2,500 a month and nobody ever moved in. It was ridiculous. The waste of money that went on in the days after it were appalling. People were generous, of course. But, Theresa May behaved appallingly. She went there and just did a little bit of a publicity stunt and then cleared off. Nasty woman. Sorry. 72 people died. It's disgusting. Shameful. They burnt to death. It's one of the worst disasters in a British building in peacetime history. Those poor people was told to go back up the stairs. It's disgraceful. Absolutely wrong. The Grenfell Tower disaster should never have happened. And we must never allow such a thing to happen again. All of that cladding must be removed. And come on, Keir Starmer, if you're a proper old socialist government, get it all removed. Get on with it. Do something about it. Stop pissing around with an inquiry. Save future lives. We don't need another fire like this to happen. So I'm very angry about that. And Lily Allen loves the attention, precisely. I hate Lily Allen with a passion. And my friend William used to live with Lily Allen, and he's in a mental asylum now. But that's a different story, and it's one for another day. And I'm not going to go down that route. But Lily Allen is a vile, disgusting woman, and she's an attention seeker, and she's appalling. She's supposedly now having a little relationship with that Norton man. Yeah, supposedly that was in the Daily Mail today. So there we are. Don't know if it's true, but I don't really care. I don't care about Lily Allen. Lily Allen should fuck off and shove herself up a jumper, because those people at that Grenfell Tower, they don't deserve to have her making an attention-seeking video about them. They're dead. And those poor families lost. I read the stories today of the Italian couple they had such hope when they came to London, and they just moved in a couple of days before, and they said, we loved the view. And as the fire began, they said, we're okay. They phoned their family and they said, people were coming to rescue us. And then they burned to death, didn't they? Poor people. Because they were just two young people who'd come from Italy. It was not full of illegal immigrants. This is a pack of lies. Don't believe the rubbish that the right-wing press feeds you. Yes, there were a few illegal immigrants in there. Of course there would be. It's a tower block. It's full of people. You're going to get people who, anywhere you go, there's going to be people who shouldn't be where they're meant to be when you've got a building that size. But don't be so unkind and cruel. So, yeah. She was with the Stranger Than Things man. Yes, well, she was, this Lily Allen. I don't like her. Did I like Amy Winehouse? I never met Amy Winehouse. I've met her father. I don't particularly like her father. I think he's a very unpleasant man. He's another one that can go on the list that won't be missed. He's not a nice man. Obviously, her ex-boyfriend, the controversial one, the rocker. I like his music. I will admit that. I know most people hate him, but I'm not going to. Pete Doherty, I think, is a brilliant musician. I love his music. So it doesn't matter whether you think I'm horrible for liking him, but I like his music. I've never met him, and I don't want to meet him. I believe he lives somewhere in France now, but he did live in Margate, and I don't know him. I've no knowledge of him. I've never met him. He was obviously involved with Kate Moss and all the rest as well, and yeah, whatever. You can't stand him. You think he's awful. Okay. Well, fair enough. I know that most people hate him because of the controversy of various stories. But I actually quite like the Libertines, and I like Carl Barat, the fellow musician. So I'm entitled to my view as much as you are entitled to yours. I just happen to like his music. I think his music is fabulous. So, sorry, I'm going to say what I feel. That's always what I do. I'm not going to say I'm not a filter. Look, he wasn't a nice man, and he rented a house from some friends of mine in Wiltshire, and he painted the walls with blood, and he wrecked their house, and they hate him, and they're very angry with him. They were furious because their house was wrecked. But that's their own fault for renting a house to a rock musician. What do you expect? He's not exactly going to behave like Cilla Black, is he? Well, who knows what she behaved like equally. She wasn't exactly Miss Innocent. Or I'm sorry, I've given a wrong example there. She wasn't going to behave like Vera Lynn. If you'd had Vera Lynn to stay, you wouldn't have had any trouble, would you? She wouldn't wreck anything. Or For a Herd, for example. If you had those two to stay, your home would be treated respectfully. Because, of course, they were two old national treasures. But if you invite, Pete Doherty to stay in your house. Hmm. What are you expecting? It's like having Noel Gallagher or whoever else. If you invite a rocker into your house is going to get trashed, isn't it? It's not going to end well, is it? So anyway, so I don't have that much sympathy for those whinging whiners. Right, okay. What do I think of? Fora Hurd was a lovely lady. Well, Fora was delightful. Um, she was one of the kindest ladies, along with people like Patricia Routledge. You can't get better people than that. They are so delightful and kind and lovely. So I'm very lucky to have met so many lovely people. And, the only person I would desire to have met would have been Joan Hickson, who played Miss Marple. I would love to have met her. I never met her, obviously, because well, I was born in 1981, so it's kind of verging on impossible that it would have been possible. But she is a wonderful lady, and I would have loved to have met John Thaw, who was, of course, Inspector Morse, because I love Inspector Morse. And Barrington Furlong, who I have met, wrote all the music for Inspector Morse. And Inspector Morse, the music is, well, it gives away the story, doesn't it? The entire music throughout the program is the clue. What a wonderful way to write a program. So you've got a script writer who has written the script that gives the clues, and you've got the music writer who has written the music that also gives the clues. So you've got two forms of clues. So the audience actually experience a double dose of clues. So you have to be really thick not to understand the story. But most people, of course, just sit there and watch and go, that's nice. Because that's how British people are. We're a bit thick, aren't we, really? We're not the brightest sparks on the planet, but honestly, what a wonderful way to write. And Colin Dexter wrote the wonderful books, and the books are fabulous also. So celebrate goodness. I love to celebrate things that are positive. That is a very important thing. And you love Poirot. Okay, Joyce, you're quite right. Okay, well, I better get back to this quiz because we're getting a bit behind with this quiz. Right, I do apologize. Have I ever been to Benidorm? No, I don't go to Benidorm, but I've been to Costa del Crime. I've been to all of that area. I've been to Marbella and all that rubbish. Yeah, I've done all that. So, not my kind of place. Okay, right. Okay, so we did the Grenfell Tower. As of 2025, to guests who like their horsehair, cashmere, and wool-filled beds, to the Savoy offer to sell a king-size bed mattress. What is the price that they offer to sell it for? What is the price? It's not 2,500. No, you're nowhere near. It's not 500 quid. It's not 5,500. It's not 25,000. It's not 1,000. It's not 35,000. It's not 30,000. It's not 40,000. It's not 250,000. It's not 7,000. It's not 90,000. It's not 100,000. Right. Okay. It's not 12,500. It's not 70,000. We're not getting anywhere close with anyone. You're all going all over the place. It's not 23,000. It's not a live auction. It's not 10 bob. It's not 24,000. Not 50 quid. It's not 300,000. It's not 250. It's not bag of sand, which is a grand. It's not a bum. Right. No. It's not £4.50 in a kidney. It's not a monkey. No. It's not 80,000. It's not 5,000. It's not I give in. It's not a pony. It's not 6,000. It's not 85,000. It's not 7,000. It's not 40,000. It's not Tony Blair 50 grams. It's not a pound of flesh. No. It's not never a true word spoken. It's not £1,000,000. It's not a ginger minge. It's not a dilgaff move, whatever that means. It's not 1 millionaire. Right. And welcome to the Pig, who seems to be joining in with something. I don't know what that means. Right. It's 18,000. No, we're not. Well, 18,000, Miss Marple, I will accept. Miss Marple can have a second point because the price is 17,000. She says 18,000. So Miss Marple is the closest. And thank you for your participation. Right. Princess Diana obviously slept there during her divorce. Marilyn Monroe, Oscar Wilde with the males. All sorts of things went on there. Okay. And your next question. Question number 9. So we're not even halfway yet. If you went for a ball and chalk in Cockney rhyming slang, what would you be doing? What would you be doing if you went for a ball and chalk? Joyce Grove gets the point. Well done, Joyce. Well done, Joyce, a new entrant. You'd be going for a walk, wouldn't you? So ball and chalk is a walk. So how many million copies of Ernest Gombrich, The Story of Art, have been sold since 1950? How many million copies of this book? It's not 1 million. 1 million. It's not 4. It's not 3. It's not 6. It's not 7. Steve R gets it. Steve R, a new entrant. Steve, well done. It's 8. 8 million copies. There were 16 editions before his death in 2001. Of all titles published in 1950, only The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe has outsold him. His death in 2001. His famous opening line was, "There really is no such thing as art. There are only artists." That's how he began. So he became very successful for that. So who painted the dead Christ in the tomb? Who painted the dead Christ in the tomb? It's uncomfortably human and unforgettable. It wasn't Da Vinci. It wasn't Satan. It wasn't Monet. It wasn't a squatter. It wasn't Rolf Harris. The dead Christ in the tomb. Audrey gets it. So Audrey now goes well into the lead with 3 points. Well done, Audrey. Of course, it was Hans Holbein the Younger. Okay, question 13. Which president of the United States once said, "The true administration of justice is the firmest pillar of good government"? Who said this? Which president? It wasn't Kennedy, no. It's carved on the New York County Courthouse. No. It wasn't Bush. It wasn't Nixon. It wasn't Carter. It wasn't, Lincoln, Nixon, Eisenhower. No. Keeley gets it with Washington. The first president of America, of course, said this, George Washington. So there we go. Keeley gets the point. Well done, Keeley. So we have Audrey in the lead with 3 points. Matt Luke Kent with 2 points in the second. And the rest of you on 1. But we will carry on. We'll plod along. So, right. Okay. Where am I up to? On which ritzy island, made famous by Princess Margaret and Lord Glenconner, would you find Basil's Bar? Where is Basil's Bar? Miss Marple gets another point. So Miss Marple is now in joint first. We have Miss Marple on 3 points, joint first. Of course, it's on Mustique, Basil's Bar. What is gochujang? Gochujang. Spelled Gochujang. What is gochujang? What is it? It's not lyrics. It's not a board game. It's not cards. No. It's not alcohol. Gochujang. It's not a drink. It's not snot. Sandy D, I will give you the point. Sandy D, well done. Gochujang is, of course, fermented chili paste. It's the staple of Korean food. It's medicinal. It's spicy. It's funky. It's a salty, sweet paste with an earthy umami flavor. So, obviously, dubang jang is another variety of the same condiment. So there we are. Anyway, it's been written about in the Financial Times this weekend. So I was quite interested in learning about it. So I hope to try it soon. I've never had any. Okay, now we're going to get a bit more spicy. If you were giving someone a green gown, what would you be doing? What is giving someone a green gown meaning? It's not bathing. It's not head. It's not bogies. It's not surgery. It's not toad in the hole. A green gown. If you were giving them a green gown. No. I learnt this from Giles Brandreth, by the way. So there we are. It's not a happy ending. No. It's not toe in the hole. We're not Fergay. Nope. Agree. If you were giving someone a green gown, what would you be doing? You wouldn't be putting the grass in their dress. No. 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 I think you've all failed. I'm going to have to probably give it. It's not an STD. No. No. It's not a perm either. It's not serving a salad. No, that's definitely not on the agenda. Right. Okay. You have all failed. Right. Thick. Yes, I totally agree. Steve R. Completely thick. If you're giving someone a green gown, the phrase was coined in the 1300s. Giving someone a green gown means that you're having sexual relations with them outdoors on the grass. Clearly, you don't know anything about what went on in the 1300s with sexual relations on the grass, do you? So you're all absolutely pathetic. You are the weakest links. And I will say goodbye on that one, but that's a terrible one. That's an easy peasy question. I can't believe you failed on that. That's one that's definitely going in the book because clearly it needs to go in the book because it's a useful question because clearly you don't know the answer. You think it's disgusting. Okay, well, there you go. Well, it was coined in the 1300s. So it's not me that came up with it. It was people in the 1300s. Okay, next question. When did Monocle magazine first begin broadcasting their Monocle radio channel around the clock? Which year? Monocle radio. It wasn't 1932. Are you deranged? Are you dumb? That's a ridiculous thing. Not 1928. 1944. Are you deranged? Are you off your rocker? 1824. Are you mad? No. No. It wasn't yesterday. No. Miss Marple is close, but Miss Marple gets it correct, finally. Right, Miss Marple is now in the lead. Of course, it was 2011. As of 2025, next question. What percentage of workers in Copenhagen cycle to work? What percentage of workers cycle to work? It's not 30. It's not 67, but you're close. So I'll probably say, I think the first person to get close was Mr. 67, because the answer is 62. So I will accept David, a new entrant. New entrant, David. Well done, David. You're quite close. You were there very quick, and you were close. Audrey did get closer, but you got close quicker. So I'll accept David on this occasion. Right. Okay. Now a similar kind of question, but I want the exact number. As of 2025, how many museums are there in Berlin? The number of museums in Berlin. It's not 69. It's not 20. It's not 14. No. 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 Lots of no's already. There's not 2. There's not 115. There's not 19. There's not 62. There's not. I don't know where you invent these numbers from, but it's not 97. It's not 123. Not 100. Sandy D gets the point. Well done, Sandy. A second point for you. It's 170 exactly. So Sandy D is a very bang on the nail person. You get the exact answer and correct. There are 170 museums in Berlin as of 2025. So, okay, where in Spain would you find Patacoma Beach? Where would you find Patacoma Beach? It's not the Costa del Sol. It's not Malaga. It's not Manuel. It's not on the beach. It's not Ibiza. It's not Alicante. It's not Barcelona. It's not Southern. Well, it might be, but we need an exact location. I'm very particular. It's not Tenerife. Audrey gets the point. Well done, Audrey, who now is in joint first. Well done to Audrey, who gets four points. So we've got 2 of you on 4 points. Of course, it's in Valencia. City's best swing spot is the outstanding restaurants along the Esplanade as well. So it's a place that's very popular. Right, your penultimate question, and this could change the game. In the city on the lake that is Zurich, what percentage of the workforce are in the creative sector as of 2025? What percentage out of the 443,000 population are in the creative sector? You say 69. That's rather ambitious. No. Tallulah comes close. Tallulah gets it. So Tallulah gets the second point. It is 11%. 39,000 people are in the creative sector. So well done to Tallulah. You obviously read a certain magazine. Right. When did Russia invade Ukraine? I need the month and the year. I will only, because this will conclude the quiz. And I could only accept answers from Audrey and Miss Marple. Audrey versus Miss Marple, because you've each got 4 points. So I can only accept the answers of Audrey versus Miss Marple, and Miss Marple has got it. So, Miss Marple, you have won the quiz. Well done to you, Miss Marple. It was February 2022. So, Miss Marple, you are the winner for tonight. Thank you, Miss Marple. We say cheers to you and cheers to me and cheers to me if we disagree. We salute you, Miss Marple. So, well done. I don't know if you're Joan Hickson or not, or the ghost of her, but we say thank you very much. So, thank you very much for joining in our quiz. You've been absolutely fabulous. You've been wonderful. Right. Okay. Well, we're not doing any more quizzes because I've run out of quizzes. I've got to write another one for you tomorrow, but it takes me an awful lot of time to write these quizzes. But thankfully, some generous people have been sending me all sorts of things, books and magazines. And I buy books and magazines in the locality, and they help me do this because I'm not very good with the computer device. So we'll carry on and we'll write a few more for you tomorrow. But anyway, we look forward to further things with you. I'm glad you enjoyed the quiz. Thank you. Right. Okay. Miss Marple is sending me a gift. That's very kind of you. That's very generous. Yes, I won't be here forever. I have to go back to England relatively soon. One has to deal with life. And today has been a better day than yesterday. Yesterday was an appalling day. And I don't know what happened to the bird. The bird has vanished. The nasty Germans probably kicked it in the sea again and probably killed it or something. So I'm very upset about the bird, but I've got it as dog food, but it never turned up for its dog food. So we'll see. Right. Have you any more? You love my quiz. Thank you. Tallulah. Thank you, Tallulah. Well, Tallulah, you did quite well. You got 2 points. So in our quiz, we had memorable moments of Miss Marple, who got 5 out of 20. So she did extremely well. Audrey, who got 4 points. And then we had Tallulah and Matt Luke Kent on 2 points, and Sandy D. Sandy D did very well as well. And then, of course, we had Connor Holmes with 1 point, Keeley with 1 point, David with 1 point, Joyce Grove and Steve with 1 point. And then, of course, you failed to answer one of the most easy questions I thought of the whole lot that I'd ever written. So I'm quite astounded that you failed in that. That is truly an example of the weakest link, and you should be told goodbye. So, right. What are my plans for tomorrow? Well, yes, we'll figure out what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day, as they say, you know. Right. Anyway, right. Have you any more questions for me, or shall I close down this channel? I'm sorry, we're getting noise in the background now, so I don't know what's going on, but said person has had her bed changed and it's all ready, and it'll all be very nice and better off to. You'd like a good old bog off, says Tina. Well, a good old bog off. Well, we won't ever want to bog off. I'd rather you just stay. But never mind. Yes, she's starting to wake up, and that's what happens. So anyway, we'll put her to bed, and tomorrow we'll go out and have another little adventure, and we will figure a few things out. But I'll have to go to the supermarket first and deal with all the boring domestic drama and all the boring stuff. But anyway, right. Okay, well, we thank you all for joining in. I don't think you have any more questions, so I think I'll say thank you very much at 1 hour and 38 minutes. It's been great being with you all, and thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, night, pip, pip, and thank you for supporting me. You've been absolutely delightful, as Miss Marple rightly says. Thank you. Well, thank you to you, actually. Thank you. Good night and good gardening and pip pip. Take care. Bye bye.